Okay, welcome. I have something in my beer, just water. Okay. Um, welcome to today's meeting. This is our Relax into Health, Wealth, and Happiness meeting. And what else needs to be said? That's kind of it. No, plenty needs to be said because we are very confused. We have so much confusion and we need to clear that up so that we can really understand what the instruction is, because the instruction is clear, but the instruction being to relax into health, wealth, and happiness. But the difficulty is that that gets filtered through our interpretation. So rather than hearing it clearly, we hear our own beliefs, we hear our own conditioning, we hear something other than the clarity of what it is that that simple message is delivering to us. And what it delivers to us when we really receive it is it delivers us to ourselves in truth. It delivers us to the supreme reality of health, wealth, and happiness, rather than the distortion of health, wealth, and happiness that we've been clinging to. And the truth is that what we think of as health, wealth, and happiness is sickness, poverty, and misery. And so, this is good news, because what that means is that even the greatest, what you think of as the greatest experience that you've had, when you think that you've had the experience of health, wealth, or happiness, in fact, what you've actually had is, well, it's the sickness, poverty, and unhappiness that you have accepted as the best that's available. So the wonderful news about this is that something so much greater than what you've even imagined is in fact possible. Not only is it possible, but it's your birthright. It's actually who you are. So that's why this message is to relax into health, wealth, and happiness. As I've often pointed out, one of the ways that we can frequently misunderstand that is we think, okay, what do I have to do to relax so that I can attain health, wealth, and happiness? But see, that's not what's being said. What's being said is you just relax and you discover that you already are that health, wealth, and happiness. Oh, now wait a second. Because now what the mind does with that is it says, well, now hold on, that's not any good. That's not any good. I'm not health, wealth, or happiness. I'm just a big ball of misery. I'm no good. I'm all these terrible things. And I know that's so because when I'm left all alone, I'm tormented by my own mind, by my own emotions, by my own memory. So again, it's a misunderstanding. This is why we have to, that's one of the many benefits of coming to the meetings, is that we have to clear it up, and we clear it up a little bit at a time, because what we don't really understand until we do is that I often point this out when I say that we are working hard all the time to maintain the status quo, but it's unconscious. That's because we don't realize the extent to which we cling to, and not only cling to, but we work overtime, always, to create and recreate exactly what we really don't want, except that we think that we have to. We think that's the only option. We think that those limitations are real. We think that there's nothing beyond that. We think that This is just my lot in life. So how can we really hear? How can we really understand? How can we really receive what it is that's offered here? And to begin with, it's the beginning and the ending, really. You want to simply notice. And what you want to know, you might say, well, what am I going to notice? You just notice what's happening. And then you might say, well, what, around me? Okay, you could start there, but then really what you want to see is that you don't have any access to what's happening around you. All that you actually have access to is what's happening in you. And so you want to start to notice your own state. Okay, you want to notice what's going on inside of you. You want to notice the knee-jerk reactions. You want to notice the limiting beliefs. You want to notice the anger. You want to notice the resentment. You want to, oh, here's a good one. You want to notice the self-pity. That's one of the ones that really keeps this misery stuck. You got to notice that self-pity. The woe is me. I can't ever get a lucky break. Everybody else seems to be able to, or if not everybody else, those people out there who seem to be so successful, they seem to get a lucky break. I'm trying so hard, but poor me, nothing works. And you want to see that. That's essential. So now, remember, these meetings are interactive. So in order to get the benefit of it, you have to participate. That means that you have to actually take the instruction or the suggestions given and really take them to heart sincerely and really actually do what is said. So you have to look, and you might say, okay, I'll do that later. No, you have to look now. Because if you put it off for later, which is what you always do, and I'm not saying that just to be mean. I understand it because I understand the human predicament, because I experience it. I'm just pointing it out and describing it to you. But I'm saying you because this pertains to you. It's not about anyone else. Your only concern should be about yourself and your own, what you are doing unconsciously. But notice most of the time you're so preoccupied with everything else. You're putting off what is required. And so the instruction is given and you say, oh yeah, I'll make a mental note of that and I'll do it later. But don't make that mistake, because you've done that mistake so many times, and that's why you're in the predicament you're in. So the key to success is take action now. You have to be participating now. So look right now and see, and don't make this other mistake, which is to say, oh, but there's nothing to see right now. I'm fine right now. Everything's great. No, you're not fine right now. It's not great. You don't lie to yourself like that. You have to see that you are playing this terrible game, and you're the only one who's doing it to you. Nobody else is doing it to you. I mean, of course, everybody else takes advantage of it, so I won't deny that. Plenty of people out there, and the people you think you love, and even the people you think you admire, they're among them who will take advantage of the game that you play, but none of them are responsible. Only you are. Because you cannot be a victim of anything or anyone. That's an important principle. You have to understand that. You have to really see the truth of that nobody and nothing can victimize you. Nobody has any power over you. The only thing that you need to be concerned about, And what you should be fully concerned with, I mean, the thing that you should be giving all of your attention to is noticing what's going on internally that's masquerading as the real you. It's masquerading as you, and you've been playing the game, accepting it. So what does that mean? Let's get clear about it. So you want to notice your thoughts. None of your thoughts are you. Now that might seem perfectly obvious, and so you can just say, well, I'll just, I don't have to give any attention to that. That one's, I already understand it. That kind of understanding that you have, it hasn't helped you. So you have to admit that you don't really understand, because I promise you, when you really understand, then you will no longer have any problems. The actual truth is, I mean, that's somewhat misworded, because the real truth is you already don't have any problems, but the only problem, if we want to call it that, is simply what I've just described, which is that you accept these fraudulent imposters. That's redundant, I guess, but I'll say how sounds good. Fraudulent imposters. And who are those imposters? Everything that you fight against and struggle with and worry about and give your attention and energy to. That's what I'm talking about. So when I say don't fall for that lie that says, oh no, everything's perfectly fine, no problems at all right now, everything's great. Because every time, this is one of those strategies that that the imposters use, as soon as you, it's like a cartoon, you've seen the cartoon where it's like somebody's up to no good. But as soon as somebody looks at them, they're like, oh, I'm not doing anything. That's the imposter inside of you. And as soon as you look, it's like, no, I'm not doing anything. Everything's fine. No problems here. But don't believe it. You have to stay alert, stay awake, so that you can see it. You want to see the imposter and catch the imposter in the act, because once you see the imposter in the act, well, then it's a whole different game. Because up to that moment, then you still don't really understand what's going on. But once you see it, then you can't really unsee it. And then you have to really tell the truth and admit that, oh, it really is true. I can't be victimized. Nobody can victimize me. Nothing can victimize me. All that's going on is that I'm victimizing myself by accepting these imposters as myself, instead of really knowing who I actually am. So the imposters say, woe is me. I can't get a lucky break. Nothing ever works for me. Oh, I try so hard. That's always a good one. Oh, I'm doing so many things. I'm trying so hard. Why can't I? Why does it work for everybody else, but it doesn't work for me? Everybody else seems to be okay. Why am I so miserable? That's an imposter. That's not you. But that voice, you accept as yourself. And there are many voices, many voices. They all masquerade as you, and you are complicit. That's the thing. That's why I say you can't be victimized, because you are voluntarily, albeit unconsciously, if such a thing is possible, but it is possible for it to be voluntary and yet unconscious. You are choosing to allow that lie and to accept it as the truth. So now we see perhaps a little bit more what's going on, because when I say we're going to relax into health, wealth, and happiness, you think, as we all do, because the voices in our heads, all of those imposters, the conditioning, Says, I already know this. I already know what this means. I already understand it. And it just tells you the meaning, but the meaning that it presents to you and that you accept as the truth is completely wrong, and it will mislead you as it has every other time, and you will stumble and fall and be uh, mugged, assaulted, violently mistreated, and then you'll repeat the same thing over and over and over again, and you wonder, why do you hurt? And who's doing this to you? Who is it that's doing this to you? Well, it's you, because you allow it. Now that might seem harsh. I understand that might seem harsh, but it's not harsh. It's wonderful news. It's the best news. It's the worst news for the imposters, because the imposters rely upon you remaining ignorant of yourself, because only when you don't know who you are can they masquerade as you, and you will accept it. But when you see that they are not you, and that you exist independent of them, and that you are never victimized, then they are out of a job. They don't have, they can't, not only out of a job, they're out of a home. They've been turned out. So and that's what you need. That's what is essential, because otherwise, as I often say, the best you can hope for is to rearrange the furniture. That means that, you've got this furniture that it's uncomfortable, it's ugly, it's dirty, it's displeasing. It's nothing about it. In fact, it's not even furniture. It's pretending to be furniture, and it's just like rotting garbage. But you're hypnotized to believe that it's furniture, and that you need to keep rearranging it so that you can somehow pretty it up. But the real answer is that you must be willing to finally get rid of it, because think about this, if your house is cluttered with rotting garbage, what newness can enter? And you say, oh, but I can't get rid of it. It's, I inherited it from my grandmother. It's an heirloom. And, this has been in my family for generations. It's so precious and important. It's who we are. It's what gives meaning to our lives, and it's good and it's valuable. And because of all those stories, that's the hypnosis that continues to perpetuate this very unpleasant, to put it mildly, game. But you have to see then, and this is where it gets sticky and tricky, is you have to be willing to give it up. You have to be willing to see it for what it is, and then to send it out, put it on the curb, send it to wherever it goes. But it's no longer going to be in your house. And as I say, then all of the attachments come up. Oh, but it was grandma's. It has all these meanings. It's so important. Oh, who would I be without this? Oh, but if I didn't have this, then this is the best I can hope for. It's the best I've ever gotten. What else can I have? If I got rid of this, then I'd have even less. Then I'd be in an even more difficult situation. And that's all the lies. Those are the lies of the imposters, because they have to work hard to keep you hypnotized, to keep you mesmerized, to keep you in this position of accepting that they, which are lies, are the truth. Not only the truth, but the truth of who you are. And it's simply not true. So again, what am I talking about? What are all these imposters? Well, any thought, more or less. I mean, maybe we could allow the possibility that there are some higher level thoughts that could enter. But for our purposes now, it's better, and really in the long run anyway, it's just better to just be in the habit, to establish the habit of having no attachment to thoughts and letting the thoughts come and go, and even allowing for the thoughts to cease to come, because the thoughts are some of the biggest imposters, because they just keep on, they're whispering in your ear. It's like that in the Lord of the Rings series. There's there's a king who's been hypnotized by this evil doer called Worm Tongue, I think, who's always whispering in his ear. And that's what's happened to all of us, and it sucks the life out of us. It feeds off of us, feeds off of your energy, your life force. It feeds off of you, and it doesn't care at all about you. It will, as long as it can feed off of you, it will. And when you're gone, it will find someone else. That's why it was grandma's. And before it was hers, it was somebody else's, because it is feeding off of, it's a parasite. And it will serve you well to really start to understand it in that way, to understand these are parasites. They're not just I'm failing to think of the word here, but they're not it's not a trivial matter. Okay, it's not something that you want to just let slide. It's not something that you want to you want to put off until later, because you say, well, but now I could look at Facebook, or oh, my favorite program's on, or oh, but there's a party and I can't, or oh, but I got to go to work. You see, those are more of the imposters, more of the parasites feeding off of you. Because you have to start to see that well, first of all, get clear on who you are. Okay. When you get clear on who you are, there's a boldness. This boldness arises because you know from the clarity, and it doesn't have to be crystal clarity, just a tiny little speck of light shining, revealing who you are. Just a tiny little bit is enough to get started, because from just that little bit you start to see, hold on a second, this is my life. It's not all these other things that are sucking my life out of me. I've been giving away my own essence to parasites that don't even care about me. Oh, sure, they whisper that they do. I no doubt about that. They say, because here's some of them, they'll say, oh, but you know, you should be worrying because it's for your own good. It's for your own safety. You know, it's so dangerous out there. You need to be worrying all the time. So they pretend like they're your friends. They pretend like they're trying to help you, but they're not trying to help you. They're just it's the drug that keeps you addicted, that keeps you from seeing, keeps you from opening your eyes. Because you say, oh yeah, I guess it's true. It's worm tongue whispering in your ear. And you don't know because you don't look beyond that. So if you want a technique, okay, here's one, is pause more often. Just pause, like right now, just pause. And you might say, well, what do I mean? Just pause. See that thought, what do I mean? Pause before you even allow that thought. Just pause. Before the next thought, pause. Before the next anything, just pause. And notice that you actually have the power to do that. Because you are that silence. You are that great pause. You are that stillness. So of course you have that power. It's your supreme power. It's the truth of who you are. It's the one thing for sure that you can do. So pause. See, it's the easiest thing and the hardest thing at the same time. Now, notice you pause and then you say, okay, great, I paused, but then the next thought comes. Okay, fine. This is not a problem because this is the next thing is you want to now see as you paused and then you see what comes. And when you see what comes, you're seeing it in the light of the truth of who you are from this pause, from this stillness. Now tell the truth. Who are you? Are you that next thing? Or are you that which is aware of the next thing? It's obvious, right? You're that which is aware of the next thing. But see, we have to become conscious of how the imposters work. They work by urgency and fastness, right? It's quick succession and it's all urgent. You got to pay attention to this one. This one's really important. Your safety is at stake. Oh, but they might not love you anymore. Oh, you might lose money. Oh, you might become homeless. Oh, that might hurt. Oh, it might be scary. And it's here whispering, don't worry, I'm here to help you. I'll keep you safe. I'll make sure they love you. Here's what you do. Just sell your soul to me. And you do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. So this is the greatest news. See, that all sounds terrible, doesn't it? Sounds so doom and gloom. Oh my goodness, holy cow. Evil forces, parasites invading my very soul. Oh my goodness, it's the worst news. No, it's great news. It's great news because now you're awake to it and you know that it's not, that's not who you are. And in this one instant right now, tell the truth, you are free. And in this one instant right now, in this freedom, tell the truth. Isn't this the supreme health, wealth, and happiness? It absolutely is. It's so wonderful. And you might, but see what happens. Next thought comes in, doesn't it? And it says, well, I'm not so sure. Now, who's not so sure? You were sure just a second ago, but who's not so sure? Oh, that voice whispering in your ear, it's not so sure. It's perfectly sure too. It knows very well that it's a fraud and it knows who you are. It knows. But if it knows that if you fully recognize who you are, well, then the jig's up. How's it going to feed off of you anymore? So of course it has to whisper in your, I'm not so sure. It whispers, hold on, let's just check it out. Now, who's going to check it out and what's it going to reference in order to check it out? You look right now and see. Remember, this has to be interactive. So just look. It's referencing memory, isn't it? Now that memory is another imposter. And if you don't take, you don't have to take my word for it. It's just actually a plain fact. You look at it carefully and you'll see that memory is a complete imposter. Because memory says, these are the facts. This is what happened. And this is what it all means. Now, you ask anybody else, and they'll have a different story, a different set of facts. Now, some of their facts, so-called, might align with yours, and you, because you've been hypnotized by this voice or by this memory, you have a bias where you look for the overlap. You say, oh, well, these people have memories that align with mine good enough. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to be in my club. Everybody, you come and be in my club. This is the club where we all have some overlap and agreement. And what we're going to do is we're just going to reinforce the things where we agree. And we're going to learn that we just don't go there with the things that we don't agree on, because that's scary. Why is it scary? Because it's not scary to you, but it's terrifying to that imposter, because it reveals that it's a fraud. Because your memory and somebody else's memory, they can't overlap perfectly. No way, because they're fraudulent, because there's no such thing as an objective past in which this thing actually was. It's all made up. And so it's a huge imposter, but look and see how when that memory is whispering in your ear or projecting on the screen of your mind, you become hypnotized and you say, oh, it's true, it's real. And what does that do? It determines your actions, right? Because those memories say, well, that's what's real, and these are the limitations, and I did this, and they did that, and this is what it all means, and this is what I can, and this is what I can't, and this is what's scary, and this is what is, and na 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 na. And it constrains your actions in a very, very specific way. You have to see this. Your actions, look at your life. What you call your life, isn't it? I mean, the so-called objective life, it consists entirely of your actions, doesn't it? I mean, like where you live and who you live with or who you don't live with, and what you eat and what you don't eat, and where you go and where you don't go, and on and on. All of that is entirely your actions, isn't it? And you have to question, why do I act in that way? Have you ever done that? Have you ever wondered why you act in that way? Have you ever looked really sincerely and really in a penetrating way? Why do I act in this way? Why do I make these choices? Why do I do these things and not do those things? Look right now. It doesn't take long. You just look right now. Just see. And you'll see it has everything to do with this imposter called memory that you accept as truth. So then you say, well, that's just how it has to be, because that's how it was, and that's what it meant, and these are the limitations. So there you go. So you just keep on repeating the same things. And you're not happy about it. Why are you not happy about it? Well, take a look. Because there's something truthful in you, isn't there? There's something truthful that has clarity. That clarity is going this way. But your memory says go this way. And when you believe the memory, you go this way, you take that action, and you get that outcome, which is not that way, which is the way of truth. And then you feel bad. So, you work the job that is miserable, and you suck it up, and you pretend like everything's okay, and you're lying to everybody all the time about everything, because you just you're terrified not to. And that seems maybe a bit harsh, doesn't it? But let me see if I can say it with a smile. Because it's great news. I'm not, see, you got to understand, when I say all of this, I'm not saying that you're limited by any of that. I'm pointing it out to point out to you that you're not limited by that. And in this instant right now, you can be liberated. In this instant, all you have to do is choose it. So you choose that now, you just pause. And then you notice in this one instant, don't worry about the next. The next will come when it does, but for this one instant, just notice in this one split second of a pause, it's freedom. In this one moment, you're not lying. In this one moment, you're not selling your soul. In this one moment, you have no problem. In this one moment, you're being truthful. In this one moment, you know who you are. You might say, oh, but I don't know who I am. I'm not so sure. Now, who's saying that? Do you see the game now? Who's saying that? Whatever the next thought is, who's saying that? It's not you. It's just another thought. So wouldn't you like to finally, once and for all, just be done with all of that? Wouldn't you like to be done with that game? Of course you would. I mean, that's like, who do I even have to ask that question? But then notice what comes next. See, I asked the question, wouldn't you like that? And I can read your mind because I know the human condition. I know what comes up next. It's another voice that says something along the lines of, oh, that would be wonderful, but. And then everything follows from that. And, it's like, it'd be wonderful, but remember all these limitations, and remember that you can't, and remember that it's scary, and remember if you did, then you'd lose all your wonderful heirloom furniture. It's rotting garbage, by the way. And it says, oh, here's another good one. Easy for me to say. Oh yeah, easy, super easy for me to say. Are you kidding me? It is easy to say because I'm speaking the truth. Okay. But that thought that you shared, that was, see, the same thing can be said, and the same words, and it can be truth or it can be a lie. That's how tricky it is. But it's super easy when you just start noticing. Because you say, easy for me to say. Yes, you saw it. That's right. Good. Wonderful. Because that's it. That's you see all day long. This is what's been plaguing you. This is what's been burdening you. It's what's been keeping you down. There's all of these imposters that you've been accepting as the truth, accepting as you. And you will continue to suffer so long as you do. But look how hard it is. Look how hard you work, actually, when you're kowtowing to all of these imposters. Isn't it just amazing how much, you want to know like why you feel exhausted, why you feel so bad? It's because all your energy is drained off because you're giving it to these things. So much effort, so much energy going into it all the time, all the worry, all the anxiety, all the lying and deceit, all of the scheming. And it's because you're afraid, right? I mean, you see that. It's because you're afraid. But look at what you're afraid of. Boy, this is a real doozy when you see this one. Because you think, I mean, you know you're afraid, right? I mean, everybody here, I mean, just look who's here. Oh yeah. I'm sure you all know that you're afraid. Most people wouldn't admit it. Most people are so in love with their fear, they can't even begin to recognize it as fear, right? But you know that you're afraid. So, but have you ever really wondered what you're afraid of? I mean, you've probably had the thought, what am I afraid of? But then when that thought comes, then the next thought comes, well, I don't know what I'm afraid of, and yada yada. It just keeps going on down some hypnosis path that eventually just sucks you dry. But when you really sincerely, honestly question, what am I afraid of? Then you'll get a very different answer. So look right now and see, ask that question sincerely. What am I afraid of? And allow the answer to come from truth. And you might say, well, I don't know how to do that. That's just another voice. So see you later, voice. I'm actually interested. I'm going to stay focused on this. I'm not going to be distracted by that. I want to know sincerely. And the answer is available because I am afraid and that fear is present. And so if the fear is present, then I can know by just simply observing. So just look, let's look to see, what am I afraid of right now, right now. And don't accept some deceitful answer. Just look sincerely. I want you to imagine, so to get clarity on this, I want you to imagine that all of those voices are vanish and they'll never return. And you're going to have a thought that says, that sounds wonderful. That's another thought. So don't believe that. Just look at what it would actually, I want you to really notice what it would actually be like. No thoughts telling you how to navigate this. No thoughts telling you what to do, what to worry about, where to give your attention, what to focus on, who's your friend and who's your enemy, who you should be getting closer to and who you should be getting further away from, and who you should be resenting and who you should be loving, and who, all that stuff. What if you didn't have any of those thoughts? So nothing to navigate any of this by anymore. Oh, now maybe you see what you're afraid of. Because who would you be then? You'd be yourself, wouldn't you? You'd just be 100% yourself. And that is terrifying to the false you. Absolutely terrifying, because it's death to the false you. To actually be yourself means there's no longer any room here for the false self. There's no longer any room where it's not even a little bit, not even a little corner, not anything, nothing left for it, because the light is shining in everywhere and that darkness can't stand. No lies can remain because there's no longer any what do we call this? It's like oh, you know what it is? Okay, it's like that. It's like a time delay on live. I don't know if they do this elsewhere, but in the United States, because it's under the guise of being socially conservative, I guess, because there are these certain things you can't say or do on television. They have a delay on live programming, just in case, there's like a wardrobe malfunction or somebody's mouth does something and it utters some sound that everybody says, oh. So you got to have a little delay, however many seconds, so that just in case the people in the command center can push the pause button and we'll return to our regularly scheduled programming in a few moments. just so nobody out there can hear it. So imagine living life uncensored. No censor, no time delay. So if the thing comes out, it comes out. Wardrobe malfunction, oh. But this is a terrifying thought to the imposter self, because the imposter self is entirely about who you're not. It's all about all trying to maintain some false image. And of course, you know that you can't keep that up. That's why you have to retreat so often. But now, pause again. Just pause and just be yourself, just for a second at least. Can you just feel the ease of being yourself, the lightness of being yourself, the joy of being yourself, the true health of being yourself? It's a nice little rhyme. True self is health. Because you just want to allow that, just allow that natural ease of being yourself. And isn't it wonderful? Before the next thought, before the next worry, before the next imposter comes in, isn't it wonderful just to be yourself? So now ask this question to the true self, the true self that you discover here in this one moment of just relaxation. Wouldn't it be, what would it be like for the true self to live uncensored? Don't accept a thought, because the thoughts are going to come from the imposter and they're going to say, oh, but it would be scary. Yeah, of course, because it means death to the false self. But to the true self, see, the answer to this is clear as day, because you can't go into the future and imagine it, right? Because the second you go into the future and imagine it, who's doing that? False self. So where do you have to look for the answer? You have to look for the answer now. And that's already known, because you already know that the true self is health. The true self is wonderful. Ease, peace, happiness, contentment, joy. It's already presently so. That's its nature, eternally so. So the answer to that question, hallelujah, it's like true self. It's the best, there is. There's nothing else needed. Well, so now you have all the answers. You've got everything you need. But here's what's going to happen. The next thought's going to be, oh, but I can't, I won't, this, that, and the other, right? The doubts come in. How could I do that? But if I did that, then, then I'd have to quit my job, and that would be scary. If I did that, then I'd have to leave my spouse, and that, or if I did that, I'd finally tell my kids what I really think. Or if I did that, then I'd, everybody would know. Oh my goodness, I'd be exposed. Yeah, you'd be exposed. That's right. And who's that a problem for? See, the only problem is that whispered voice that says, but it would be so scary. Then I'd be found out. And by the way, it says, and by the way, I'm no good. I'm mean. I'm fill in the blanks, some kind of negative. So I have to keep this under wraps. I've got to keep the true self from being exposed, because it's dangerous. Oh yeah, it's dangerous. Super dangerous. Absolute danger. It's instantaneous death to the false. But now you have the answer. What are you going to do? So I'll tell you what I recommend and I invite you to do. First, I invite you to just pause again. Notice that first and foremost, you are, as I sometimes say, formless awareness, but forget the words. Just notice whatever is just uncaused, nothing prior to it. You didn't do anything to earn it and you can't lose it. Always here. That's your true nature. Whether you're, whatever the story is, whatever the feelings are, whatever the thoughts are, whatever anything is, you got to see this. Really, remember, this is interactive. You got to participate. So I want you to see this, really. Look and notice whatever possible conditions or circumstances might arise. You could be homeless under a bridge, getting kicked and beaten. Okay. Sounds pretty bad. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody, but I'm just saying that as like a bad worst case scenario kind of thing. Even if that was happening, even in the worst case scenario, I want you to see that it's still always fundamentally true that you, before any other experience flows out of that, that you are that uncaused reality. Same that you notice now. Prior to the next thought, prior to the next sensation, prior to the next voice, prior to the next this, that, or the other, uncaused being. Now, of course, there's going to be a thought that says, yeah, whatever, not enough. Forget about that. I'm not proposing. See, once you get into that game, it's all over. You're hypnotized. See, the voice proposes, you've got a problem, and you say, oh, I do. It's already over then. Don't make that mistake. Just stay prior to. Just for a moment. Just for this moment. So you stay prior to just for a moment. I'm not saying you have to forever, although you could, but just for this moment. And then notice from uncaused being, which is totally unconditional, does not depend upon any conditions. It's prior to the conditions. Notice that there's a good feeling, a lightness. We call it health, wealth, and happiness. You don't have to call it anything, though. You just notice that good feeling. Allow yourself that. That good feeling is the expression of the truth of who you are. It also is, well, it's independent. I guess we don't need to say it's uncaused, although it's kind of uncaused. It's inherent. But it's definitely independent. It doesn't depend upon anything, right? Because you can access this anytime, whatever the circumstances are. See, it's just, what am I, you know by now what I'm outlining here is 3-step inquiry. So step 1, we already talked about, uncaused being. Step 2 is to notice the delightful feeling that simply is, that arises from this recognition of yourself as uncaused being. It's unconditional. This feeling is unconditional. You can access this anytime. Don't believe the next thought that doubts that. Just for now, just stay with this for a moment. Then I want you to start to just allow that. What if this could just be the truth of your life? What if you could just allow this? Why not? Wouldn't that be a heck of a lot better than what you've been doing? What on earth is the value of practicing misery? None. But we've all been duped into doing it. So it's innocent, I know. I'm not saying, this is not like a shame and blame session. I want to be clear about that. This is good news. I'm just pointing out, hallelujah, you don't have to do it anymore. It was just an innocent mistake, but a tragic one. And now instantaneously, the healing is here. All you have to do is accept it. Accept the truth of who you are, and then keep telling the truth and allow that to blossom. Allow that to unfold, and just know that that's the one thing that's actually true. Don't believe the limitations. Don't believe the lies. Don't believe the memories. Don't believe any of the imposters, because they don't have your best interest at heart. They pretend to, but they don't. Don't feel bad for them. They're not real. They're all fraudulent. They're fake. It's like feeling sorry for a plastic tree. It's just don't, because they are not independent. They are all fully dependent, and they depend exclusively, at least now, on you. They're just bad habits. And you are prior to the habits, and you can choose. And I'm encouraging you to choose the truth, because that's the only thing that will truly give you the health, wealth, and happiness at all levels of experience that is your birthright and that you desire more than anything else. Nothing else can do that for you. And in fact, anything else would be a lie, and it will be painful. So be courageous, be bold, and be truthful. And this does not mean that you need to start telling people off. That's completely unnecessary. If you start reacting in that way, guess what? You've just been duped again. You have no enemies. All your enemies are fakes. You stop energizing them, they will disappear. Maybe not instantaneously. Well, yeah, instantaneously they will disappear, but they may reappear because of the habit. But you keep telling the truth. You keep utilizing this 3-step inquiry, which is so simple yet so powerful. Make it a new habit, and your life will be unrecognizable to you, and it will be delightful. So we're going to wrap up now, because just a reminder, we're not going to do Q&As on Fridays for a little while. I'll let you know when they do resume. But thank you for having the courage to be here. I know these are like strong reminders, but they're to help to keep you awake so that you can live your best life and know the truth and live from that truth. So be bold, be courageous, be gentle with yourself, truly gentle with yourself. Don't fight with anything. Don't fight with anything. Don't fight with your thoughts. Don't fight with your feelings. Don't fight with other people. And remember this, you are in exactly the right place at exactly the right time with exactly the right people. And if you just continue to remain truthful to who you are, then everything will be taken care of for you. You don't have to do it. All you have to do is be yourself, be truthful. Don't fight with anyone. You don't have to leave your spouse. You don't have to leave your job. You may or may not. But you don't need to think about it. You just need to be truthful. And I see some people ask some questions. So somebody did say, please upload it. Yeah, I'll upload it. You don't have to worry. Okay, so blessings to you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Just be delightful. Be so delightful. Have a just beautiful, beautiful weekend living the truth of yourself. And that's possible. Really, really, really. Okay. And I'll see you on next time, whenever that may be. For some of you, it will be Monday. For some of you, it will be another day. But okay, blessings to you all. I'll see you. Bye for now.